struggling to come to grips with reality. Confusion and chaos have become part of me. I seek answers to know where my liberation lies. Only in peace and calmness does that clarity arise. Transmissions of wisdom bring me insights of reason. Let my mind expand to the higher states. My mortality is no longer at stake. Let me hear the wisdom transmissions. The wisdom transmissions. So many voices, so many interpretations. No answers given, only outer temptations. Where can I find that truth inside of me? Realization of what I am is all I'm wanting to see. Transmissions of wisdom bring me insights of reason. Let my mind expand to the higher states. My mortality is no longer at stake. Let me hear the wisdom transmissions. The wisdom transmissions. No more redirection, ending the contemplation. Forget fighting reflection. Outer world's a projection. Internal is the cause, external's an effect, put it on pause. I'm silencing the noise, centering, entering void. Truth is beautifully subtle, the voice without a voice. Heart and mind shall settle, making decisions now, escaping illusions of choice. Transmissions of wisdom bring me insights of reason. Let my mind expand to the higher states. My mortality is no longer at stake. Let me hear the wisdom transmission. The wisdom transmissions.
Okay, can you hear me now? That's weird, because the microphone is on, so I'm not too sure why you guys weren't hearing me. Okay, can you guys hear me now? Are you alright? Now it works. Okay. Well, that's weird, because the microphone is showing as live on my end, so... Oh, YouTube, I just love you. Okay. Well, I'm not going to try and go all the way back to announcements again. Jeez, that's like 5 minutes of announcements here that's gone down the drain. Okay, well, anyways, you know that I was talking to you guys about Egypt. Okay, so we got a couple spots left on the Ancient Egypt Halls of Amenti tour. Check it out at wildtours.de. I'm just going to burst through this really quick, I guess. Going to Etherics. Okay, so again, we have a 30% off select products right now. That is available until this Friday. We have the Prana bed kit, print on demand here. We have the free e-course, the Trauma Transcendence Technique 10-day free e-course here on wisdomtransmissions.com. Just put in your name and your email, check your inbox, check your spam, check your junk, and it should be in there. If it's not in there, drop me an email. I'll be happy to send it to you. We also have the services here, private live sessions. This is the only session that is done by Zoom through me with video. Everything else is done offline. So just letting everybody know that ahead of time. Now, if I can get caught up before microphone blunders happened, I'll have to make that note on the replay, because people get mad at me as, oh, Brian, we can't hear your sound. I said, okay, yes, you have to fast forward to like 5 minutes. And then I pop back on. So I'll have to leave a note. My apologies for that, guys. I was saying that the microphone was on, so I don't know why you guys were not hearing me. So I just had to press another button, and now I had to refresh it. So I'm glad you guys can hear me now. So anyways, 3 types of astrology see, now I can't talk. 3 types of astrology systems to choose from: Vedic astrology, Western astrology, and Chinese astrology. This is available on Predict My Astrology. We have a deal right now that's $20 off our full deluxe report. Okay, so April 17th at midnight, this is when it expires. You just use this coupon code here, 20 off. Put that on the coupon code when you go to the forums. Where are the forums? You just go up here and you click on Buy Reports. Okay, and you can select all of them here. Full deluxe report, that's the one that has the discount. Fill out all your details here, and then right here at the bottom, coupon code. This is where you would put 20 off. Okay, there. And there you go, right there. Boom. $20 off after you fill in your details. Okay, so that is predictmyastrology.com. It is sensational. We have your report given to you within 24 hours or your money back. Okay, no other astrology site does that. You show me one that does that. Okay, Predict My Astrology is the only one on the internet that offers you a 24-hour money back guarantee. And the reports are incredible. I always get my own astrology reports from this. It works amazingly well. Okay, and then we go to readingswithbrian.com. So again, I was trying to say at the beginning, before there was microphone blunders, is Brian is going to be with me next week. Okay, so we're going to have another Brian and Brad webcast next week. Please remember that no personal questions for today. Okay, no personal readings. That will be for next week. Or again, you can book a private session with me or with Brianne. Okay, so again, she is an expert tarot reader. She's a very accurate tarot reader, tarot reading, classic feng shui consultant, and Reiki practitioner. She also does crystal ball readings as well too. If you have not tuned into her YouTube channel yet, you are missing out. Okay, she does an incredible amount. She's basically tackling a lot more topics than I am right now. I got so many hats on that I'm wearing, and she's just killing it right now with incredible information and videos. Please support her. Okay, she is doing an incredible job, right? Not just because she's my fiance, but please make sure you're supporting her. She's an incredible reader. All right, so let's go ahead now and jump into the sessions. Let me just go ahead and close off these windows here. I'm just going to take a moment to do a little bit of window juggling here. There we go. Yeah. There. All right, so I apologize, guys. I don't know what happened there with the microphone, but I'm glad you can hear me now. There's always just some blunder. It's weird. Okay, microphone is turned on. Nobody can hear me. Interesting. Okay, I think we need to learn how to rebuild software here. It's not doing too well. All right, so let's go ahead, and like I said, I'm going to be just taking topics, viewer topics today. There's no big presentation coming up today, so it is all based upon everybody And I appreciate you guys freaking out, saying, Brad, no sound, what's going on? Hey, no sound. I know if you could like scrunch up a paper ball and like try to throw it at my head, you'd be trying for that. So I appreciate that you guys are so considerate. Okay, let's go ahead and get started here today with some questions. So as always, I'll be taking the donation-based questions first. So again, donation-based questions will put you in priority sequence. Okay, this one here is from EUM142. They write, Hi Adronis, what significance does lottery play when it comes to physical exchange? Is it something you can get if you are of great service to others? Okay, I will go ahead and bring Adronis in and he'll answer this lottery question in regards to, it's not so much physical exchange as everything's energy, right? I think what you're trying to say is energetic exchange that can come into the physical, manifest itself as a lottery, right? Okay, one moment. Terra Soul Star Siria Adronis. We are here. At this time, we bid you greetings, and thank you very much for the opportunity of this interaction today. I am Adronis of Sirius, sending love, appreciation, and gratitude to all who are tuning in to this broadcast being brought forward through your internet collective consciousness. We thank you, EUM142, for your question about the lottery and what idea is behind it when it is able to come into physical manifestation, when there is a lottery winner. The lottery winner who wins the lottery, have they done so much service to others? Are they basically a saint? No. Furthest thing from it in many cases. That's not what it's about. See, you're misunderstanding the nature of vibration. The whole idea is this. Firstly, before we get into your lottery question, let's give you an understanding about how vibration works. All right? Vibration simply means that which you are in alignment with. That which you are in alignment with. Doesn't mean that's who you are. It's like a radio station. It's like a radio transmitter. It's like the dial. And you're just tuning in, and you tune in and align to the vibration. That's it. Which means it welcomes saints and sinners. It welcomes the rich and the poor. It welcomes this and that. There's nothing else to it. It is not about thinking that you must be unconditionally of service to others, because we would say someone who's unconditionally in service to others doesn't care about a lottery. Their lottery is service. Now, we know what you're trying to say, but that's not the idea. It's all just locking into a vibration, which means you could be living in a small bachelor pad. You have a lottery ticket, you listen to the drawing, and all of a sudden you're a winner. And you're at this small bachelor pad that maybe it's costing you $1,250 per month nowadays, and all of a sudden you hit the big time. You win the lottery. Or there's another person who has a very big, beautiful mansion, and they have a lottery ticket. They listen in, and all of a sudden they hit the big one, and they're already millionaires. It does not discriminate. There's no secret to winning the lottery. We know a lot of people say that. Here's the secret to winning. If there was a secret that got out, that got all of you to win, you would have millions and millions of winners each week throughout your lottery. Doesn't work. We know many people want to give you these schemes and these ideas. of believing that this is what you need to do to win the lottery. Those who do win have a momentary flux connecting to the vibration that represents that fortune. They're able to lock in, because that's all it is. It's just a locking in of frequency. It's a locking in vibration. You just feel it. Some of you may feel it, some of you may not. It is an extremely subtle thing. But it does not matter if you feel that you are a saint. A saint, really, in that perspective, wouldn't care about that. They're not concerned about getting millions of dollars. They're here to help the people. They're here to do their work in the ways that they wish. So by what you're suggesting, it is invalid. Because that's not how the lottery works. It is all based upon frequency. It is all based upon energy. It is all based upon vibration. And there are those who do win the big one that are in that momentary synchronization and synergy with that particular vibration at the time that they drew their own lottery ticket. That's how it works. So, can it be something that is mental? Can it be something that you can align to in the mind? Well, you have to feel exactly what that's like. And that's very difficult to describe to people. So, most likely, no. You have to feel it for yourself. And it's very, very rare to feel that subtlety of knowing that the lottery has been won by you. So, we really can't explain it to words because it is much more of a feeling base. But that's really all it is. It's just synchronizing yourself and aligning yourself to the vibration. Saint or sinner, up or down, rich or poor, doesn't matter. It's just a vibration. All right? We thank you for your question. Okay. Very good. Thank you very much for your question. Let's go ahead and move on. Okay, so this one here is from Open Contact. Open Contact says, Adronis, what happens to beings who have committed the most heinous crimes or acts when they cross over into spirit? Do they have a very harsh life review? Okay, one moment. We thank you very much for your question. Now, let's put it in this way. When you live your life, all right, and you have your ups and downs, and maybe you were quite relentless in being very unmerciful to others, and the time comes for you to leave your body. Everyone, and this question is for all of you, when you leave your body, are you a different person? Yes or no? No, you're not. You're exactly the same. You are not heightening yourself into something else where you do not know what that heightening truly is. If you are a person that commits harm to other people, and that is how you leave the earth, you remain in that instance of personality, which means your world still keeps going. No more different than when you go to sleep at night, you go off into the dream plane, you have a bunch of dreams, you wake up again, and the world's still here for you. All that's happened is that you have transitioned the physical form, but who and what you are still remains. It's not some magic spell where a bunch of light is coming down to you and it erases all of those misdeeds within your personality. Doesn't work that way. You're the same being when you leave your body, because you left your body when you go to sleep at night, and you come back into your body when you wake up. You're the same person. You're not different. True, there will always be differentiations as you go through each day of your life, but really who you are at your core remains intact. There is no such thing as divine punishment. There is no such thing as divine justice, because these are all just instances. They're personality quips, really. So thinking that somebody did something horrible and all you have for them is you wish them that they would burn in hell is of your own ego, rather than thinking that that's what's going to happen to them. You're the one that's suffering from another person's actions, maybe even more or less than what they are. You imprint something on a person and thinking that they did some horrible misdeed, and that tortures you, not them, tortures you. So therefore, you hold on to these regrets. You hold on to this suffering. You hold on to this hurt, and it's impacting you. And so how your day continues to go forward is that you may have a lot of people yelling at you. You may have a lot of people criticizing you. You may have people judging you because you're judging everybody else. And then the time comes where you lay your body to rest and you no longer have a physical body, but you're still in a realm of experience. And now you still have those particular people ridiculing you, fighting you, attacking you, because you have not made peace with it. And it is a lot more challenging when you are in your transient form to remedy those things, because your thoughts manifest instantaneously. This is why we say, please do not take your physical life for granted. You have a concentrated form where not everything is being manifested instantaneously by your thoughts all around you. You have the ability to focus. You're like a microscope. Take advantage of healing yourself while you're in the body. And therefore, as you start to heal yourself, as you start to let go, as you start to surrender, then the time comes when you leave your body, you now remain that person that you are, that being that you are. So it's not about having some type of quantum leap as soon as you leave your body. Anybody that tells you that is incorrect, because that's not how it works. If that was the case, then every time you go off into the dream plane at night and then come back in the body, you would be a completely different person, but you're not. You have certain shifts happening within yourself, but the core of who you are remains intact. That core can't be wiped away. It cannot be wiped away even by physical death. Are you paying attention to what we're saying here? The core of your being will always remain the same unless you decide to change it conscientiously. Nobody outside of you can. No angel, no spirit guide, no ancestor, no family member, no ET being, no nothing of that sort. You remain who you are through the core of your being until you yourself personally decide to change. And when you're personally deciding to change, now the core of your being has made a shift. Not just because you physically died, not because you physically croaked or kicked the bucket and saying, oh, I'm free. Yes, you may be free of a physical body and it's not so tight and rigid, we understand, but you're still you. That's something you have to remember. You are who you are. This body does not tell you who you are. Everything that represents these senses do not tell you who you are. They are a faculty for yourself. It's an instrument. It's no more different than going inside your vehicle and driving to the store. Doesn't mean that vehicle's you, and then you step out of the vehicle and all of a sudden you're feeling like a completely different person. That wouldn't make sense. It's the same thing here. This is why we say, this is why you keep coming back to incarnation, because so much work can be done here internally. That's why you come back to Earth. And the reason why you dread it and think, I'm never coming back here again, is because you don't understand the curriculum. And the curriculum is to work on yourself, to clear up these situations that are unfolding in your life, to heal your suffering, to heal your traumas, because you can do it in the best possible way as this here. That's how it works. So, you need to get out of this delusion of thinking that as soon as I leave the body, I'm a completely different person. You're going to be disappointed, because that's not how it works. You will always be you. All right? We thank you for your question. Okay. That is a very big realization, my friends. Okay, and I've had so many people over the years who said, I can't wait until I just get out of this body and leave. Like, that's not going to do anything for you, man. Sure, I mean, you're going to get out of a heavy body, and of course, that's always kind of a relief in a way. But your mind is still aligned to all of these horrors. It's still aligned to all this suffering. It's still aligned to all this hurt. And you're still going to bring facets of that about, but you're going to bring them in much more intensely, because now you're in your transient form, and they're going to be coming in like this, like crazy, because you haven't sorted yourself out here. And that's why many of you want to run back to incarnation and say, get this out. Come on, I need to get this done and get this taken care of. Exactly. Here you go. Boom. Come back again. Let's clean house this time. Then we start cleaning house, and then when the time comes for you to leave the body, you realize there's something a lot better, because you've shifted into the person you want to be. Please take that with you. Share that with others. You got a bunch of weird New Agers running around telling you, just leave the body, and when you leave the body, you'll be free, and everything, and then you just go right back to source, and you go right back to the Father, and you go right back here, and right back there. No, it doesn't work that way. Okay, it's more distortion, it's more woke culture that is just giving you a bunch of this BS and pulling at your leg, right? You cannot change who you are where there is no opportunity for you to look into yourself to realize that you can change, right? There needs to be that inner looking. That's why I'm pressuring you guys so much to go into the trauma transcendence technique, to look into these simple techniques, and to start working with yourself. Because now you start moving into peace in this life, and when there's peace in this life, you go off from this body, that peace radiates in greater states of expansion. It's like peeling an onion, my friends. All right? So please keep that with you. All right, let's go on to the next question here. This one here is from Thomas. Thomas says, hi, Adronis, can you please update us on the moon? Okay, one moment. We thank you very much for your question, Thomas, as you have asked about the question pertaining to the moon. Well, we have updated you not too long ago in regards to the moon. It is still a work in progress. There are beings that are, again, no longer a part of this Earth experimental agenda and have decided to leave. There are those that are also rebellious, that are trying to hold their positions in certain areas of the moon, and they are basically being forced out. Just like your Earth right now is going through a very powerful planetary cleanup, the Earth, or the moon, we will say, is going through a very powerful lunar cleanup. So there's a lunar cleanup happening on the moon. There's a lunar cleanup happening on the Earth. Now, as we've talked to you about previously in regards to 2024, where a lot of the machines that were, again, causing a lot of friction pertaining to frequencies being bombarded in harmony with your own electromagnetic etheric field of your Earth, that a lot of these are being powered down, but they're not being powered down all the way. So basically, in that sense, there's going to be a lessening of intensity, because if it basically went from 10 to 0, it would lead to catastrophic situations. It is not about trying to power off these particular frequency generators cold turkey. It's about very slowly turning the dial bit by bit. And it certainly is a lot more lower than going back several years ago. But it's still there. But what we can say is a lot of the technology that has been used to basically bombard the Earth with these particular frequencies that represent, shall we say, high emotional states, psychic suggestion, and so forth, are minimalizing. And they are being, shall we say, under new management. So we really can't give you too much of the inner workings of the moon right now. We can tell you that the human guardians are there. We can tell you that they and their allies are basically being the new jurisdiction factors upon the moon. And that the jurisdiction is currently happening quite commonly at the back side of the moon, because that's where a lot of the action is, so to speak. There are also other smaller settlements happening around the face side of the moon, to which you can see visibly, but again, not through the ground, much more internally. So again, you have to understand that there are many millions of beings that are living on the moon as well too. And that there is a lot of sorting out. It's not just going to happen so quickly here. But what we did say is in 2024, a lot more of these particular technologies responsible for these bombardments will be apprehended and will start to be powered down. That is happening. But there's going to be more time needed for it to be a complete and total powering down. And that will be much more around the time of your late 2020s to early 2030s, because it is no more different than the analogy of trying to transition yourself off very heavy medication. It will take time. It can't just be done all at once. All right? That's what we can share pertaining to the situation of the moon at this time. Okay. Thank you very much. Let's go ahead and move on. All right. So this one here is from Solstice. Solstice says, "Hi, Adronis. Can you comment on how the app Randonautica actually works? We don't have any information pertaining to that app, so we can't really help you with that, Solstice." Okay. Some things, like I said, guys, I'm not the kind of person that's looking at every single app that's available. I'm not looking at every single news story that's available. There's going to be times where you're going to have to refresh me. There's going to be times where you have to refresh Adronis, because as much as Adronis can look at the ocean of Akasha, we need a target. Okay, and if we're not too familiar with that particular target, we can't really look at it. So all we'd really do is just give you vague details, because we're not too familiar with that. Okay, so I can't help you with the idea of a Randonautica situation. We need to have a little bit more information about that first. Okay, let's go on to Mr. E33. You don't have to entertain this answer, but can you kindly see what the highest amount per Dogecoin we will see in 2026? I can't do that, guys. No, because right now we have to kind of see what the momentum ahead is right now in 2025. And when we look at 2026, as I said, it's going to be much more of an increasing. But when in 2026? Are we talking about the first month? Are we talking about the second month? Are we talking about first quarter? Are we talking about second quarter? Are we talking about the later part of the year? You know, it all depends. All I can really do is just give you a ballpark guess. If we're looking at 2026, let's just say right now I think XRP is like $3 or something like that nature. If we get into 2026, we'll probably see it maybe moving up to 4 or 5. Okay, and that may be the early part of the year, but that's just a ballpark figure. And guys, I'm not a crypto expert. Okay, so as I've said, XRP is very, very good, or Dogecoin. Yeah, Dogecoin, that's what you're asking about. Okay, if Dogecoin, sorry, I thought you were talking about XRP. If Dogecoin is going to rise in 2026, yes, a lot of crypto is. How far, I can't tell. It wouldn't surprise me if Doge goes up to about $1. Okay, but again, if I keep telling, I'm shooting myself in the foot here. If I keep entertaining these things, guys, you're going to keep saying, Brad's a crypto expert. Brad's going to do this, right? And I'm not trying to paint that picture for me. I'm happy to answer your question. But like I said, it's kind of like a double-edged sword. I can look into these things, and then I get a bunch of people flocking to me, thinking I'm some sort of crypto guru. And I said, guys, I'm not. Okay? I'm not a crypto guru. I'm not giving you guys the definite answers. All I'm doing is looking at energy. Okay? So if I'm looking at energy pertaining not just to the Dogecoin, but if I'm looking at it through a multitude of different cryptos, because God, I've said this so many times already, right? That 2026 to 2028 is going to be a golden time for crypto, right? And as I said, when I look at 2026 for the majority of the coins, okay, it's going to be a slow start, okay? It's going to be slow, and then it's going to pick itself up, right? So it's kind of like 2025 is kind of like this, right? It's like a Richter scale. We may have a bottom part here. a bottom collapse a little bit, and then it's going to start climbing up like a people mover, and then just slowly start to rise up. Okay, so the early part of 2026, don't get your hopes up so quick, right? You guys have to understand that cryptocurrency is not a make money fast marketing scheme. Okay, it's not a get rich quick scheme. Cryptocurrency is not like that. The stock market's not like that. And I know people will tell you to play it in that way, and that's not how it works. It's not get rich quick. Okay, it's not a money marketing scheme. This is something you have to invest in for years. I mean, look at the people who did Bitcoin going back into the early 2010s, right? Where they knew that there was potential for this, but they had to spend all of these years for now to get Bitcoin up to about 100,000, right? That took quite a few years, okay? And even though 2026 and 2028, between that time, is going to be very, very strong, it's going to be like a whole force of momentum. It's not going to be like from $1 to $1,000. That's what I can tell you is not going to happen, okay? I would look at a coin maybe at $1, maybe going to about 10, okay? And so if we're looking at XRP, like I said, if we're going to the 3-year span here, if we're looking at XRP, that's $3.50, for example, and then by the end of 2028, maybe $13, $14, $15, maybe around there. That would just be a rough ballpark figure, okay? Now that's a great shift, okay? But it's not getting into making it a $1,000 coin. A $1,000 coin of XRP, maybe in about 5 to 10 years, okay? When we look at Doge, okay, I'm not sure if it's like $1 now. I haven't checked this rate. It's about $1 now, say, for example. It may go up to $10 by the end of 2028. Fantastic. That's an incredible leap. For it to turn into a $1,000 coin, maybe about a decade. Okay, so see, this is the thing. I say these things. Oh, I want it to be. I want it to be $1,000 tomorrow. Okay, well, how about you go outside, you look up at the sky, and you start yelling at clouds that pass. Because that's as constructive as what you're doing. Okay? I'm only telling it like it is, my friends. And like I said, I'm not trying to be a crypto guru here. I'm just looking at the energy from what I can see from the Akasha here. And I'm not just going to tell you, okay, what's it going to be in January? I can't tell you that, right? I'm just giving you a ballpark estimation energetically as I'm looking into the Akasha, okay? So, Doge, does it have a bright future? Yes, over the next several years. We will have a very strong intensification time between 2026 to 2028, where it's basically going up in value to 1,000% by the end of that fluctuating period. That's extremely good, right? But it's not going up, like 100,000%, where you got something that's $1 that's now all of a sudden $1,000, okay? It's not going to work that way. It's going to get hit. It's going to hit a very big snag, of course. Or not a big snag, but a big blow up, of course. But like I said, right now it's hitting a bit of a snag because of 2025. So yes, there's going to be some boosts. Yes, there's going to be some increases. Yes, there's going to be some accelerations and some expansions. With cryptocurrency, it is going to be a great time in 2026 to 2008, where certain coins could boost up to about 1,000% by the end of the span. That's incredible. Okay? But it's not being uber credible here, where you want something that's $1 value right now that's going to go up to $1,000. Not going to happen. Okay. In a decade, probably. Okay. 5 to 10 years, maybe. But next 1 to 3, no. Okay. So that's all I'm getting for right now. But we'll keep checking. We'll see. Maybe the universe wants to throw me a curveball and say, well, instead of 1,000, it might actually go up to about 5,000%. Oh, okay, cool. That'd be great. So we just have to keep an eye on things and see how things go. But please, guys, I am not a crypto expert, so please do not treat me like one. I don't deserve it, okay? There's a lot of great crypto experts out there. Talk to them. I'm just measuring energy, as I always do, okay? All right, so let's go down a little bit further, okay? Okay, so that's all of the donation-based questions I have for today. So great, guys, thank you, unless there's other ones that pop up here shortly. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and look at some of the questions here on the chat that are not donation-based. Okay, this one here is from Mary, sorry, not Mary, Nancy. There is talk that med beds are here. Is this rubbish? You see, it depends on your perspective on what med beds are. By perspective, the Prana bed kits that I offer are the closest thing to a med bed that's on the market right now for the public, and that's very affordable. Okay, the Prana bed kits version 2 on etherics.co would be the closest thing to a med bed technology that the public could affordably grab and put into their home right now. Okay, so by definition, that could be a type of med bed. I don't call it a med bed, it's a prana bed. It works with your energy body, and then it works together with your physical body because of all the transcendental codes contained within the geometries. Okay, and that helps significantly. It's like having a Reiki session on you 24/7, a Qigong session on you 24/7, pranic healing being brought on you 24/7. It helps for the long term. Okay, now if you're talking about these particular types of beds where they look like pods, and you get in, and you have a severed arm, and you get out, and that arm is now completely reattached. No, we don't have anything like that. Okay, so the secret space program med beds. So again, depends what layer are we talking about here. Are we talking about actual medical beds? Are we talking what's on board ships, right? Where we're seeing beds like that, where you basically go in as a 75-year-old woman and you come out as a 20-year-old. Okay? Where maybe you had an amputated leg, now you have a new leg. Where you had internal diseases within your DNA that are now all cured and done. We do not have anything like that on the earth. Okay? On ships, yes. On other particular planets, yes. On Earth, no. Okay? They do have other particular types of technologies that are getting to that level that is reserved for quote-unquote VIPs. Right? It wouldn't surprise me that maybe Donald Trump has tried some of them. Okay? But we're not talking about the SSP ones. We're not talking about the ET ship ones. We're talking about ones that are a certain rendition of it. And they work a lot with frequency. Okay? There's a lot of frequency magnetics, right? They work with, and it's almost like a frequency magnetic chamber. And you spend a certain amount of time in there, and it starts regenerating tissues, it starts regenerating cells, it starts regenerating organs, right? And it helps you. I wouldn't say it reverses age, maybe a little bit, but not to the degree of like an ET SSP bed. Okay, and no, I have not developed anything like that. Okay, so I'm working together with, like I said, I have been working together for the past couple of years, developing a prana bed that will really help you. But it's like having a pranic healer, it's like having a Qigong master, it's like having a Reiki healer, all working on you all at the same time 24/7. That's powerful, right? And I've seen people's pictures before and after, and it looks like they've taken a few years off themselves, sleeping in a prana bed, sleeping in a Taurus bed, right? Working together with etherics tech, okay? And that's great. I've accomplished my mission. I've done what I wanted to do, okay? And so I'm not too sure how long I'm going to be staying with etherics, okay? I think I'm probably going to have somebody take it over pretty soon, okay? Because I've accomplished what I've wanted to do out of it. So I'm still running it right now, but I'm thinking of maybe handing it over to somebody, okay? Of selling the business and having somebody who maintains that same rhetoric of wanting to do the work that etherics does, to hand it over to them, because I'm really moving into other projects, okay? So we'll see. Right now I'm still running etherics, but I may not be running it very much longer, okay? I'm probably going to be handing it over to somebody selling the business, not just handing it over, but selling the business to somebody who, again, has those same type of ethics and rhetoric and wanting to keep etherics alive. Because I have other things that are calling my name, and I have to start giving that attention to at the same time. But in the meantime, I am working with etherics full time. Okay, so that's the idea. It just depends on what you mean by a med bed. Okay, so we have other particular types of surgical beds. I think even in Japan or Germany, they're starting to make AI beds that can perform automatic surgery and stuff like that. And they would refer to those as types of med beds. So it depends on what you mean by med beds. What's the level? Because we have lots of levels. The ultimate med bed would be the ones that you would find on board ships. Okay, so you go on board spacecraft and you see some of them. And I've seen some of them too, and they kind of look like pods, right? Some of them can also be filled with fluid. It's almost like looking at the Matrix movie, right, where Neo's inside that pod with fluid. It's kind of like that. There's other ones that kind of look futuristic as well too, where you're being locked in and you're getting these frequencies that are bombarding you. You're getting like light that comes into you as well. There's like light sequences that are coming together at the same time. There's magnetics coming in at the same time. It's quite something, right? But to my knowledge, I don't know anybody that has built something like that with that kind of sophistication. Okay, so there you go. Let's go on. Okay, Gijo here asks, Adronis, how did Jesus perform miracles, especially the turning of water into wine? Okay, Gijo, you're taking the Bible seriously, and that's something you don't do. Okay, you are looking at analogy. You are looking at parables. You are looking at allegories. The Bible is not a literal, physical book. That's what the uninitiated believe. What you see in the Bible are not factual, documented, based stories. They are allegories, all right? Turning water into wine is the idea of an internal alchemical process. It has nothing to do with going over to barrels that are filled with wine and then converting them, or sorry, filled with water and then converting them into wine. That's not what's being said. It's the alchemy of yourself. It's taking that which is, again, of the earth and making it divine. Wine in the Eastern mysticism would represent the divine substance, right? So you're taking your own alchemy, water being your own psychic, emotional body, and amplifying it and moving it into the nature of wine, for example, right? Turning water into wine, taking this form and transcending it, and working with the internal alchemy of yourself to go all the way to God, to raise your kundalini, to open up the chakras, to move into the right hemisphere of the brain. That's the idea of the elixir of the wine, okay? This is discussed in Eastern mysticism talk. One second. Okay, so the Bible is not a literal document, okay? It is not a historical document, even though it was made thousands of years ago, right? So by itself, that is. But the stories that you hear about it are just that, stories. There is no such being as Jesus Christ, okay? There's a being known as Yeshua that lived a similar life to Jesus, okay? But that's a different Jesus. Jesus isn't even his name. Guys, Jesus is a Greek name. Okay, if we're looking at this man, he wasn't Greek, right? So you would look at him as Yeshua, okay? Not Jesus. Jesus is not his name. Okay, so does that being exist? Yes, but as a different rendition from what's being told in the Bible, because that Bible version of Jesus is not telling you about something literal. He's telling you about allegories. He's telling you about working together. The single eye. Guys, Christians are sun worshippers. That's all they are. Right? And the funny thing about Christians is the majority of them don't even listen to what their own God says to them in the Bible. They listen to some half-witted preacher sitting up there completely contradicting everything that Jesus says in the Bible. Do any of you practice the single eye? Do any of you toss your net to the right side of the boat? Do any of you take no thought? Well, these are things that Jesus teaches. Why aren't you doing it? Because you're being brainwashed. Because you're being conditioned. And lo and behold, my friends, that is what happens with religion. They don't even complement anything that Jesus says. If thine eye be single, thy whole body will be filled with light. Take no thought. Cast your nets to the right side of the boat. Right? The kingdom of heaven is within you. All of these things. Who's doing it? Nobody. Hardly anybody is actually doing these things. Because these are internal understandings. These are inner teachings. These are teachings for the soul. Okay? It is not about grabbing a bunch of barrels and pouring a bunch of water into them and then closing the lid and then saying a blessing, and then opening up, and then you got a wine, and now you got a frat party. Okay? It's about taking that, the barrow being the body, filling it with the water, the goodness of yourself, and elevating that goodness to the higher states, to go into those expanded states of elements that bring you closer to the Father through Kundalini, through the opening of the chakras, through the activation of the right hemisphere of the brain. This is what yogis teach. Okay? So this is not to be taken literally. If anybody takes the Bible literally, they are coming at it from an uninitiated perspective, and they will not understand it at all. It doesn't even relate to what's happening to the world right now. That, again, is uninitiated misunderstanding. It is all about the nature of these teachings that will stand the test of time. What's in the Bible will stand the test of time for countless generations for humanity, because it is a soulful book. It's a book of the soul. It's a book of astrology. It's a book of numerology. It's a book of the occult. It's the book of internal alchemical practices that are utilized in the form of parables and allegories to help you elevate yourself to come into the true divine nature of who and what you are. That's the Bible. That's the Quran. That's the Torah. That's the Bhagavad Gita. That's the Mahabharata. All of these holy books are just that. And if you're looking at them for historical reverence or historical fact, you are deluding yourself. And you're not seeing the Bible as it is meant to be, or seeing many of these other holy books throughout our history as they are meant to be. They're not here for you to be a scholar and scribe things down to say when this happened in Jerusalem, and when this happened over here in Syria, and when this happened, blah, blah, blah. Who gives a crap? It's about you harmonizing yourself, expanding yourself, moving all the way up into the divine. And it's written in code so that the initiated understand it. That's it. And you can find this. Guys, Jordan Maxwell, William Donahue. These are two people you should be researching, because they will tell you the exact same thing that I have told you. H.P. Blavatsky. Okay? These are the people that have told people the truth about what the Bible really is. But we still have mindless brainwashing taking place, believing that Jesus is coming again. There's a second coming of Jesus. Bullshit. It's not about Jesus. The second coming represents the opening of these divine states within yourself. There's no such being as Jesus Christ. There's Yeshua. Right? So this is, I'm hoping this puts into perspective what I'm trying to tell you guys. Right? Because I've looked into this Bible, and I've had this from Adronis for many years about him telling these are literal things. Right? I was grown up in a religion of Jehovah's Witnesses. Hated every minute of it. Right? And I would go into their kingdom halls every single week, and they waste people's time with stupid talk, with stupidness. They have no idea what they're talking about. They have no idea what the Bible really means. And unfortunately, this is a brainwashing. So you might as well be going in and getting MK Ultra'd directly into church, because that's what's happening to you. None of these people have any particular form of intellect or tact or knowledge about what is actually inside the Bible. They're clueless. And this is what Jesus said in the Bible. It's the blind leading the blind, and they will both fall into a pit. And that is world religion in a nutshell. Jesus says these things. No one follows what he says. Do you guys even know what it is to open up the inner eye? Meditation. Shambhavi Mudra. Pranayama. Working with the breath. getting yourself still, getting yourself silent, going into surrender. What I've been teaching you guys for years. That's what I'm teaching you. That's what the Bible was trying to say, right? So that's all I'm doing, my friends. And I'm doing what I can. But like I said, and there's others that are doing it, and that's great, but we're few and far between. The people who actually know the truth on this planet, my God, are few and far between, because 99% of people don't have a friggin' clue. So there you have it. Okay, let's go ahead and move on. Okay. Okay, this one here is from Didar. Didar says, hey, Adronis, can you talk about Kriya Yoga brought to us by Mahavatar Babaji? Okay, well, Adronis can look into it, but there's things about that, so I think I'll leave that to him. Okay, one moment. We thank you very much for your question, and we are happy to speak about Kriya Yoga pertaining to that which has been brought to such people on your planet, like your Lahiri Mahashai, like your Sri Yukteswar Giri, like your Paramahansa Yogananda, but there have also been other forms of initiates over the centuries. Now we have to understand firstly that Babaji is a messenger of Kriya Yoga and not the innovator of it. He taught which was part of his sect. When he was alive physically upon this planet, he learned this from a traveling, shall we say, group of nomads, a traveling group of ascetics. And he learned Kriya Yoga. He devoted himself to it. He performed puja. And through all of his knowledge, because this is going back to what we say, when you leave the body, you're still the same being. You see? But the work that you do here, to which Babaji did an incredible amount of work, is that he was able to cross past the lines of mortality and karma and come into a deathless form, a deathless body that was manifest, to give up his physical body and transition it into a full light body, as it were, a deathless form, to where he can materialize, manifest, talk to any particular being on the planet in any language that he wishes, traveling across the cosmos to any particular planet he desires, and teaching it to others. But he again has agreed to teach it to small groups here on the planet for as long as the earth exists, for millions and millions and millions and millions and millions of years. But he was not the innovator of Kriya Yoga. You have to go back into ancient times even further, because there were other Babajis before him that were also bringing this about. But you have to understand that yoga itself, pertaining to its essence, is not actually something that was created by man. It was created by the divine and given to man. So the roots of yoga stem far beyond this earth. It stems far beyond this dimension. It is transcendental in nature, and it's passed down to certain civilizations. Other civilizations also have the idea of yoga, because yoga is not just about the idea of asanas. It's not just the idea of kriyas. Those are all alignment facets. Those are forms. Those are poses. Those are, again, helping you to contort yourself to align your body so that it can function appropriately, so that you're receiving the instant transmission of God. To align yourself to universal harmony, to be at one with all. That's what yoga is teaching you. It transcends the physical realm. So it was given to man, but its origins go far beyond anything that we can ever tell you, because they're immortal origins. All right? So he is a messenger of Kriya Yoga, and there have been messengers, other Babajis, before him, who have also passed it on. But yoga is immortal. We thank you. Okay, great. Let's go ahead and move on. Let's see here. I think we're almost out of time here, guys, so we'll probably take one or two more questions. Let's see. Oh yeah, Open Contact says, I saw Brienne on Richard Cardinal's channel for the other day. That guy's hilarious. Yeah, Brienne was telling me about that. She has another collab she's doing. This is what I've basically been telling her. Hon, you can't just collab with me. You've got to collaborate with other people. When I first started doing this, nearly 17 years ago, I had to collaborate with people, right? And that was something with me. I'm a natural introvert, guys. I really don't even like being around people. Not because I have any qualms about that. It's just that I'm so completely in harmony with my own space and with who I am, right? I don't mind going out and meeting people, and that's so fine, but I'm not one of those team player people. I'm not the kind of person that's going to sit into an office and constantly being around people and being in their cliques and stuff like that. I've never liked that, right? I've always been on my own, but I've had to kind of open up my shell and talk to others and start talking to other psychics and other intuitives, and I met all kinds of them throughout the years, right? I've met Laura Eisenhower, and I've met John Mendez, and I've met Jason Quitt, David Wilcock, right? Different people, not really collabed with him, but talked to him a little bit. And just having these different forms of collaborations to get myself out there, right? And I haven't really been doing that as of late because my establishment of what I've done over the past 17 years is still going strong, and there's still more new people that are coming together all the time, and I don't need to have all these other people that have their own channels and stuff. I'm open to it, but that's not really been my flow. So I've been telling Brian, you need to go and collaborate with people, because that's how I started, right? For the first few years of me doing this work, I collaborated with a lot of people. We shared, we exchanged, we did events together back when there was no Zoom. There was no such thing on Zoom as Zoom when we started. And it was such a nice time too. We could go out and we could do seminars, we'd have workshops, we'd have people actually gathering, right? It was nice. And then COVID hits, and then the whole world is just like terrified to even meet in places anymore, right? And now everything's Zoom calls and blah, blah, blah. And I don't mind Zoom, but Zoom is more of a pain in the ass than anything else. I've really enjoyed the old days where I could just go and be in a seminar room, be on a stage with a microphone and teaching these things to you. Having the interaction, being able to see all of your face rather than seeing a bunch of your avatars on the chat room, right? It was so much more of a rewarding experience, but the world has changed. The world has significantly changed. It's not to say that there aren't some of those seminars anymore, but there's nowhere near as many of them as there used to be, because COVID buried so many of them, right? Will we ever see them back? I'd like to think so, right? But, instead, I have to kind of look at people's avatars here, and I have to watch you guys in texts, and it kind of sucks, right? I like looking at faces. I like seeing who's viewing me right now, right? And I mean, Zoom has that to a certain degree, but being in front of an audience where you can shake hands, you can give hugs, you can talk to people back and forth. I mean, do you guys agree with me? Am I being crazy? Have you ever been to those kind of seminars, right? You ever been to those particular types of conferences, those meetings where we have that and you have that personal interaction? There's nothing better than that. And what I'm doing here is nothing compared to those days. Those are perfect, right? So there you go. I'm digressing, but there you go. I just miss those days. Those days are great. So I'm just reminding her to collab with people. So she's collaborating with another lady as well too, just to help get her name out there. And like I said, if you guys can go to her website, grab a session from her, it's totally worth it. She does an amazing job. She's always offering discounts like I do as well too. We are both very generous people, my friends. Right? I'm not saying that to toot my own horn, but I've given people so many discounts, not to mention I've given people so much free material that they don't even know what to do with it, right? So this is what I say. As soon as I charge with something, I get raised eyebrows. But I said, guys, if I didn't charge, none of you would even be here, right? Because charging and putting value towards your work draws people's attentions to you and your work, and that's a fact. Like I've talked about in the past, where people get all huffy and pissy about the idea that they just basically want to steal your work for free and use it for themselves, or not even really use it, just getting pissed because they don't get something for free, right? And like I said, you're not paying for information. You're paying for the service of someone helping you with the information because you're not willing to get it yourself. That's the difference. All right. All right, let's move on. Okay. Laura here says, will other suns appear? Okay. Well, in a way, we are part of a trinary star system, and it is believed that there may be another star that's just behind our main star. Okay, and that would represent Nibiru in that way. Now, Nibiru is not like what you've heard in the Sumerian god text or Sumerian text in that way. A lot of the Sumerian texts that have been translated by a certain popular person are completely misconstrued. Right? They're misconstrued because we're looking at something that's literal when in fact it was allegorical. It's another Bible. Okay? And we take it very literally, but have different particular types of terms. Or we're looking at Anu and we're looking at Enki and all that. Oh my God, they're physically going to come down. That's like saying, okay, well, here's Yahweh physically coming down, and here's Archangel Gabriel coming physically down, and so on and so forth. And you're missing what they represent within the human soul. The same thing goes with the Sumerian texts. They are not to be taken literally. It is not a literal document. It is allegory. Because that's what they talked about in the East. This is Eastern mysticism. Okay? These are not historical records of what's actually happened to the heavens. That can't be told in that way. You have to tell it in allegory. You have to tell it in parable because it's so vast. Because you're looking at things in different dimensions. You're looking at things in different vibrational frequencies. You're looking at forms of intelligence that are so grand, you can't put that into factual data. It's not possible. What do? You work with allegory. You work with parables. You try to teach people how to advance themselves in their own alchemy. You can't do that by fact. Even fact doesn't even know it yet. You have to do it by allegory. You have to do it through parables. And again, the type of information that's contained inside the Bible or any of these other sacred books isn't even on from this world. Right? It's not. This is why you actually have scribes and prophets that are coming in and actually sharing these things in the way that they're being told to. Because everything that you really see in the Bible isn't even really from earth at all. It's from other realms. And it's coming through prophets. And it's coming through scribes. And they're utilizing analogy and metaphor because they honestly thought that the human race would have picked this up by now. You know, how long has the Bible been around? And humans are still taking this literally. Why? Because we certainly didn't make it for you to take it literally. These are stories. These are stories to help you advance. We thought you would get it. Just work with the Eastern Mysticism Rosetta Stone to understand these simple codes and these simple traits, and you'll get it. But unfortunately, all of that stuff has really been hidden from the public for a very long time. So you had the quote-unquote authors of the Bible scratching their heads and saying, maybe we went too far with this. They're taking it literally. They're creating religious wars here. They're worshiping a character out of the Bible that we're just utilizing for allegorical purposes. And they're killing each other because of this book. Kind of think we screwed up a little bit, huh? So there you have it. Like I said, this is the MK Ultra brainwashing that has been happening under the institution of religion for thousands of years. That has caused insurmountable amounts of bloodshed, separation consciousness, division from people, when it all was intended to bring good tidings. And as I said previously in the Akashic Intelligence Report, every system today made by man has been weaponized. Religion being one of the biggest ones. Extremely weaponized, all created to bring about war and fighting, and my God is better than your God, and my practices are better than your practices, and your God's fake and my God's real, and blah, 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 blah. And bloodshed follows. And not to mention, you know, how many people have been killed, millions, over something that was originally brought to mankind in the form of goodwill and good tidings. Never to be taken literally, never to be fought over, but to be brought forward to help you connect with the realm where these authors reside. That's the point of the Bible. And no one is seeing it. 99% of the people on the planet are not seeing it. There's that 1%, maybe in the few millions, for example, who are seeing it and trying to get their word out. But my God, people who have actually tried to tell the truth about the Bible have been humiliated, have been shunned, have been killed, right? Because they actually went through the initiation trainings. I haven't been through initiation trainings unless Adronis counts as that. But that's it. I mean, it's horrifying. It's horrifying to see that something that was brought about with good tidings and goodwill and good faith has been weaponized into a mass murdering weapon. Because that's what's happened to the Bible. That's what's happened to these sacred books that are just trying to tell you through allegory for you to tune in to see exactly who you are and doing the practices that they suggest. Performing the single eye, taking no thought, realizing the kingdom of heaven within yourself, opening up the seals, going into the right hemisphere of the brain, connecting to God, which what we call today is yoga, which what we call today is pranayama, which what we call today is inner alchemy. What I've been teaching for 17 years. That's it. And that's what's in the Bible. And it's just my own version of trying to give this to you guys. So I hope you will really take advantage of everything that's on this channel. The trauma transcendence technique, the white light breath, the 30-day BCR technique, okay, the release ball method, the cord removal healing. We got playlists here of all these free techniques like what we've been sharing through ancient times, modernized for your own convenience, and they're free. So please take advantage of it. That's all I can say. Okay. All right. So sorry, I kind of trailed off there a bit with with Nibiru. Okay. So yes, there are some people that say that there is a second sun in the sky. Okay. So it may be visible at times. Like I said, I kind of diverge into another topic. But yes, that would be Nibiru. Okay. So sometimes it does show. It just depends where you are in the world. It depends upon the type of the day. It depends on the phases of everything, the alignments. But sometimes you can see a second sun, and that's not your eyes deceiving you. We are primarily part of a binary, or rather trinary, star system. We're actually part of Sirius. Earth is actually part of Canis Major, right? So the Syrians basically consider us one of their distant stars, right? So Canis Majoris should actually include us as well too. We're taken out of it for political reasons, I guess, but we would actually be part of Canis Majoris. So there you go. All right, everybody, we are out of time for today. Thank you, everybody, for your questions and your feedback, and I will speak to you all again next week. Again, Brianne will be with me next week. We'll be taking some personal readings, so get your questions ready for then. Thank you so much, everybody. Blessings to you all. Namaskar. May it be well with you. Take care. Bye for now.